stepping onto that NBC stage wasn't a casual stroll. It was a grand entrance. Zero jitters, total confidence, forget the just glad to participate cliché, pulling up a chair beside icons like Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. Clark looked perfectly at home, as if that spot had been reserved for her from the start. Yet, the real story is what followed the part everyone's overlooking. She didn't show up just to give a polite wave to the viewers. She showed up backed by an MVP title and a championship ring, delivering a message that resonated with the force of a lightning strike. The Indiana Fever are targeting total victory. This isn't some underdog tale or empty marketing. This is a calculated game plan. It's pure power. The entire WNBA should be looking over their shoulders right about now, capturing the moment. Clark on the other side of the camera. Prior to discussing titles and forecasts, we need to revisit the viral incident from 4 days earlier that set the internet ablaze. It reveals the genuine personality of Caitlin Clark when she's away from the spotlight's glare. The atmosphere and the crowd were electric deafening, actually especially during our 8-0 opening surge. I'm just incredibly grateful. It was a midweek showdown with the Indiana Pacers taking on the Lakers. Just a typical high-stakes evening. A massive crowd filled the arena, and tucked away near the court among the pro photographers in their gear was none other than Clark herself. Forget the VIP treatment or front row fashion. She was there to work as a legitimate member of the press pool. Gripping a Sony rig with a massive lens, badge hanging low, she was kneeling on the hardwood, hunting for that ideal action frame. Take a moment to really process what that visual represents. The premier athlete in the women's game, a figure who has fundamentally shifted the course of basketball history. Here she is in the offseason documenting Pacers matchups like an ambitious college student padding her portfolio, fully immersed in the craft. She recounted the entire experience on air with zero embarrassment, completely owning the moment. She geeked out over the equipment, specifically mentioning her heavy-duty gear, which she playfully dubbed the Big Daddy lens. Then came the hilarious twist that had everyone in stitches. Naturally, her primary target for a photo was LeBron James. She spoke her truth plainly. If LeBron keeps performing at this level, he remains the greatest of all time in her book. Without a second thought, absolute, unfiltered respect from a woman who still adores the game as much as she did as a 10-year-old kid in Iowa, glued to the screen. However, this is where the story takes a delightfully comedic turn. While kneeling on the floor and aiming her lens, she decided she wanted to manufacture a genuine human connection. She attempted to catch LeBron's gaze, later insisting to the broadcasters that they definitely shared a look. In that split second, she lowered her gear and flashed a big, authentic grin his way. The top star of the WNBA paying homage to the man she views as the ultimate basketball legend. LeBron simply stared back with a blank expression before turning away as if she were just another face in the crowd. She joked about her invisibility being a hidden talent, saying he missed her entirely, which sent the commentators into fits of laughter. The beauty of it? She wasn't mortified. She shared the self-deprecating tale on live TV with that signature fire she brings to the court. It was raw honesty, no scripts, no PR spin, just her being herself. Just a true fan who spent her break taking floor-level photos of her hero, totally unbothered by whether or not he actually recognized her. Her social media post chronicling the night exploded, racking up over 105,000 likes and almost 10,000 shares, proving that audiences can sense when something is the real deal. In every facet of her life, Clark is the embodiment of realness, a quality that is impossible to manufacture. You can't coach that kind of sincerity. It's just baked into her DNA. Truly, that's why her subsequent comments on the show carried such immense weight. When a person of that caliber speaks with such conviction, you don't just listen, you believe every single syllable, side by side with the greats. Don't overlook the significance of that broadcast lineup, led by the formidable Maria Taylor. Flanking Clark was Carmelo Anthony, a 10-time All-Star and gold medal winner, renowned as a premier scoring machine in league history. Then there's Vince Carter, the high-flying legend who defined a generation and spanned 22 seasons in the pros. And let's not forget Tracy McGrady, a two-time scoring king who was once considered the most lethal offensive threat alive. These aren't merely well-known hoopers, they are absolute titans of the sport. We're talking about hoops icons who've dumped more intel than your average analyst will ever acquire. These legends have witnessed thousands of battles from the inside out. They've dissected endless hours of game footage, shredded defensive schemes, and went to war at the peak of the sport under soul-crushing pressure. Yet, there's Caitlin Clark, hanging with the heavyweights, decoding the playbook and trading blows without flinching once. When the whole Reggie Miller drama surfaced, it offered a perfect glimpse into exactly how Clark holds her own in a room full of giants. Roughly 4 weeks prior, on her NBC debut during that Knicks-Lakers clash at the Garden, Reggie basically likened her style to Peyton Pritchard. Look, Pritchard is a legitimate talent, a real grinder who fought tooth and nail to secure his spot in the league. He has that reliable mid-range shot, pure cash, and that high IQ awareness like when Luka pulled that slick fake handoff. But if you've actually caught even 3 or 4 of Caitlin's games, that comparison just doesn't fly. It leaves you scratching your head, and her fan base definitely let everyone know about it. So, when the topic resurfaced during her next appearance, the entire panel was leaning in, waiting to see if she'd bite. Was she going to get prickly? Take a petty swipe? Turn it into a headline? Not a chance. She stayed icy cool. She just grinned and leaned back, acknowledging the noise without letting a single spark of drama catch fire. Without even a hint of salt, she made it crystal clear that she knows her own worth. Then, she just let it go clean and simple. That level of poise, the way she can swallow a potential firestorm without even blinking, is something else. You don't get that from some generic PR training or a media handbook. That stems from a rock-solid sense of self, watching her trade high-level insights with Carmelo and T-Mac while dissecting Nikola Jokic's game. She was picking apart why he's the king of the court with the same surgical precision those legends possess. You could tell right then that we're witnessing someone playing a game so advanced that most people won't even grasp it for years. She isn't just some hoop star who happens to be a natural in front of the camera. Caitlin Clark grabbed the country's attention from the very start. Her grasp of basketball is so profound it bridges the gap between every single level of the sport. The second she began breaking down Jokic's brilliance, labeling him her absolute favorite to study and the undisputed best on the planet, then backing it up with hard data, the whole room stopped breathing. She wasn't just chasing clout or repeating headlines, she was proving she'd done the homework. She compared elite scorers who create out of nothing. Then she broke down how even double-teaming Jokic is useless because he always finds the open man. Think about it. You look at the box score after 2 quarters and he's only taken 5 shots, yet he's already dished out 12 assists. No matter your defensive scheme, he will find a way to systematically dismantle you using his teammates as weapons. Carmelo gave her a long look once she finished and simply nodded in respect. That was the turning point. This is the silent uprising of Caitlin Clark. Now lean in because everyone misses this part and it's way more vital than any viral clip or championship hype. That fresh WNBA labor deal, the one that finally crossed the finish line, has her influence baked into every single page. Not because she was physically present at every secret meeting, or because she was the one actually penning the legal jargon, but because of the massive public pressure she applied right when the whole process was hitting a dead end. Here's the real scoop. Those talks had been stuck in the mud for an eternity. The union and the owners were just spinning their wheels, gaining an inch, then losing a mile, trapped in the same old arguments. But hidden beneath the surface, a much more toxic issue was festering. Certain seasoned pros, athletes with guaranteed money and safe spots, were way more concerned with hoarding their own slice of the pie than growing the whole league. The real victims were the rookies and the mid-level grinders, the people pouring their souls into the court for checks that barely scratched their true value. They had to sit there and watch a simple deal morph into a grueling stalemate that helped absolutely nobody. That's when Caitlin Clark, wielding the most powerful megaphone in the sport, stepped onto the national stage and effectively called time out on the nonsense. After all the chatter, she just laid it out straight. Get back to the table and fix this. No theatrics, no threats, no blowing things up. Just a blunt, undeniable demand from the one person whose words resonate louder than anyone else in the entire game. The room went quiet as the conversation pivoted and the contract was finalized. Sitting at the NBC desk, she pulled back the curtain on the grind, her voice thick with genuine sentiment. She remarked that people poured incredible amounts of soul and sweat into this effort. We are talking 10-hour marathons and sessions lasting until 4 in the morning. Yet, one specific detail clearly hit her the hardest. She noted they were fighting for athletes who were not even present in that room. The rookies and the future stars who lack a voice at that level the next era. She spoke softly, but the conviction was undeniable. Now, examine the actual terms because the figures are absolutely mind-blowing when you compare them to the old standard. It is a 7-year pact lasting through 2032, with the salary cap tipping off at $7 million. Average paychecks are jumping from roughly $120,000 to about $600,000. These future earnings, once criticized as meager, now see minimum salaries clearing $300,000. For the first time in league history, players secured revenue sharing, taking a 20% cut of the total earnings. Let that sink in. This isn't just a small step forward, it is a total overhaul of the system. This represents a fundamental shift in how the sport values the very people who make it happen. The league is finally confessing that its stars aren't just staff filling a slot. They are the entire product. This breakthrough can be traced directly back to the moment Caitlin Clark stood up and demanded that this get finished. She never once tried to grab the spotlight or take the credit. That just isn't her style. She expressed nothing but gratitude for everyone involved, but every viewer knew her influence was the spark for the change. Even the players gaining the most, the ones some veterans were ready to overlook, witnessed her reach a career high. They feel the impact too. After 8 months away, she returns as a reigning champion. Let's revisit a detail often treated as a footnote, which is actually the foundation for everything happening right now. Caitlin Clark only appeared in 13 games during the 2025 professional season. 13. Then, a severe groin injury ended her year in July. The league officially closed her chapter on September 4th. Suddenly, she was just gone. 8 months or 230 days of silence, as she joked during the broadcast. Recovering from a major injury at the highest level is never a sure thing. You can follow every single rule perfectly. You can grind through every rehab session and trust your doctors completely, yet still return feeling like something is fundamentally off. The human body does not always return to its former glory on command. That resilience is her trademark. It is the quintessential Caitlin Clark way to secure a victory. Furthermore, the mind carries its own heavy baggage, the haunting memory of the exact second things went south. That split-second hesitation that poisons a move that used to be as natural as breathing. So, when she landed in Puerto Rico for the World Qualifiers, nobody knew which version would show up. Would she be timid? Would she be playing it safe, protecting her body until her confidence finally returned to full strength? Instead, she averaged 11.6 points and led the field with 6.4 assists. Her team went 5-0. She walked off the court holding the tournament Most Valuable Player trophy. At the announcer's desk, she laid bare the emotional complexity of her journey back to the hardwood. She noted that practice drills are fine, but nothing matches the adrenaline of actually lacing up for a real battle. She admitted to the nerves of her first true appearance in the senior national jersey during an official match. Watching her pull up from the logo again proved she had conquered the immense pressure of returning to form. Then, she shared a thought that made the entire broadcast crew pause in silence. I truly felt like myself again. I am healthy after 8 months of watching the game continue without me. That wasn't a rehearsed answer. That was a warrior who did the work in the dark and found her fire again. Her vision, those sharp instincts, and her gift for making her teammates better were all perfectly intact. If anything, she seemed more lethal. Hunger has a way of sharpening one's focus to a razor edge. What makes this even more impressive is the stakes. She didn't choose an easy path for her comeback. She returned at the highest international level under a bright spotlight and proved she was still the best. Not just a standout, but the undisputed leader. And she knows exactly what that means for 2026. She knows the league is in trouble when she returns fully restored and hungry for more. Over to you, Clark. Clark pulls a slick behind-the-back move, finding Ryan Howard. This specific setup leads straight to the moment that has everyone buzzing right now. Caitlin Clark just issued a major warning. The Fever are the team to fear in 2026. Her chilling composure made that statement hit hard. There were no theatrics. She didn't lean in, shout, or try to manufacture some viral clip for the television cameras. Slumped back and totally at ease, she spoke as if she were simply stating the most obvious fact in the entire world. The Indiana Fever are destined to be the top favorites to win the championship. Forget the excuses or fine print about health. This was a blunt, powerhouse claim from the league's elite talent on live national television. Right after, she admitted that painting a target on your own back brings massive pressure and zero room for any mistakes. Then, she confessed that the intensity is precisely what she loves. This isn't just empty swagger or tough talk for the media. She isn't chasing clout. This is a competitor who analyzed her roster and her path, reaching one undeniable, carefully calculated verdict. She carries enough internal conviction to broadcast that certainty to every single viewer across the country. So, let's break down exactly why her confidence is actually supported by cold, hard reality. Look, Emma, this isn't just blind faith, it's structural. The cornerstone of this entire argument is none other than Kelsey Mitchell. Clark labeled her the absolute top priority for the offseason. The reverence in her voice revealed the deep bond they have forged together. Describing her as the ultimate backcourt partner, she noted, "She simplifies the entire game for me." Anyone watching Indiana knows the score. Mitchell dropped 20.2 points per game throughout the previous season. An all-WNBA first-teamer who manufactures offense out of thin air. We are talking about elite play that changes every single scoreboard. Her presence drags defenders away from Clark, punishing any team that dares to over-rotate or double-team the superstar. Sharing the hardwood, they create a nightmare scenario. Tilt the defense toward one, and the other will absolutely burn you to the ground. Opponents are essentially choosing their preferred poison, and honestly, neither option is a good one to face. Furthermore, the fresh bargaining agreement boasting actual wages and profit splitting has stabilized the league's economy like never before. Stars like Mitchell now have legitimate fiscal incentives to remain loyal rather than hunting for a bigger paycheck elsewhere. The era of forced departures is ending, replaced by a time when athletes stay exactly where they believe they can compete for rings. Mitchell helped lay the foundation in Indiana with Clark, giving her every incentive to see this project through to the finish line. Moving past the roster, we have to look at the massive growth of the league itself. Clark discussed the expansion landscape with a sharp focus, proving she has been tracking the business side very closely. At her start, fewer than 144 spots existed for incoming rookies. But with new squads in Cleveland and Houston, and Philadelphia, Toronto, and even Portland, the tally is crossing 170. More room means elite talent stays domestic instead of trekking abroad to survive. She mentioned that younger players now see a professional path that actually feels attainable, unlike the pipe dreams of the past. That isn't just some vague sentiment or corporate fluff. This is the byproduct of a league finally betting on its own future, with Indiana serving as the ultimate success story. The Fever transitioned from half-empty gyms to massive sold-out stadiums overnight. They jumped from obscurity to becoming a global powerhouse that dominates the viewership charts in female athletics. While Clark knows she's the catalyst, she also credits the systemic support and the collective drive to build a lasting dynasty. Combine a fully fit Clark, fresh off her tournament MVP honors, with the rest of the puzzle. Locking down Kelsey Mitchell remains the top objective for the front office. Add in a solid financial framework and a franchise fully committed to championship glory, and you see the bigger picture. This Indiana squad isn't just a feel-good narrative for the news cycle. They are a legitimate championship threat, and the rest of the WNBA is on notice. She already holds the hardware before tip-off. Every rival coach and athlete feels the gravity of the massive expectations she has boldly placed upon herself. This isn't just a comeback. She has evolved into a more precise, powerful, and mentally unbreakable version of herself. 8 months away, a global MVP nod, and a burning hunger for the ring. Now, she has quietly predicted the upcoming storm. Indiana's fever are the mountain everyone else will have to climb. Yet, talk is cheap. The real test happens on the hardwood, where every play will be scrutinized by the most elite competition ever. So the real mystery isn't whether Caitlin Clark has the skill to deliver on her bold promises. That same riddle haunts the 2024 Fever. They just broke a postseason dry spell that lasted since 2016. Does any opponent have the roster, the strategy, or the courage to actually stop her? The clock is fading. Seats are filling, and that first whistle is going to reveal every secret. When it happens, will the league be ready for the hurricane she's about to unleash?